video we're going to be looking at how we can use the assignment tool in the DLE to create a timed submission that you can use in lieu of exams. So as you can see, I'm on my course page, I've got my editing turned on, and I've selected assignment from the add activity or resource page, and if I click add, it takes me into that kind of traditional submission page or assignment page. So as with everything that we create in Moodle, we need to give it a name, so I'm going to call it timed submission example, and then I'm going to give a bit of description text, but it's going to be very vague. You'll want to put as much information about the exam as you feel necessary in this page, but what we're not going to do is we're not going to tick this display description in course page. So we want this information to only be available to the student when they access the assignment itself, and then we're going to use our availability and our restriction tools to limit the times in which they can do that. So they're only going to be able to access this information within the 48-hour window of their submission, or timed submission. So we've got the description there. We're not clicking the display description in the course page, and then we want to upload any kind of document that's relevant to the exam. So if you've created a question sheet or a sheet that they're going to use and then resubmit, this is where you'll want to submit that, and you can do that via the upload file. If you've got it on your OneDrive, you can link to that as well. So I'm just going to take you through the process, but I'm just going to pick a Word document at random, and then I'm going to click on upload file, and that's going to add that into that additional files. So again, this is all going to be locked down behind the timings that we use, so students aren't going to be able to access this until they reach the point of where they want to do their exam. So in the availability settings, we're going to set a 48-hour window, and we're going to allow submissions from a starting point, and that will be on your exam timetable the release date. So for this example, I am going to set it for Monday at midday, and then I'm going to set the deadline for 48 hours later on the 29th of April at midday as well. And what we're also going to do is we're going to enable the cut-off date, and we are going to match that to the due date. And this means that beyond that, at midday on the 29th, students will no longer be able to submit, so they will have missed their window to do the exam. We can leave the grades and feedback on if we want, but we can also unenable that as well, or uncheck it to disable it. So that will currently allow submissions from the 27th at midday, and then we'll stop submissions at midday on the 29th. To be doubly sure that the students can access this information before you want them to, we can use the restrict access tools to stop the assignment, or the time submission, becoming fully visible to them. So if we click on the add a restriction section down at the bottom of our submission or our assignment window, we can select date, and then we can add available from the 27th at midday, and then if we add restriction again and choose date until, so we've got from and then until the deadline, that will just make it grayed out for our students, but they'll be able to see the information, so they'll see when it's going to become available, when they're going to be able to do it. But what they're not going to be able to see, what they're not going to be able to do is click on it, get that information and document earlier than we want them to. So we're leaving these eyes unchecked. If we were to check these, the assignment would be invisible until these times. That isn't going to be helpful. We want them to know that the assignment is there. We just don't want them to be able to access it. So here we can see now that is all done. We've got our dates and times set here. So if we save and return to course, that will now be there ready for the 27th, at what point it will become live. So as the page loads, we can see if I scroll down to the bottom of my test page, you can see time submission is grayed out, not available unless, so here's the window of when it's available, and if I switch across to the student view, we can just double check what will appear for our students. So I'm using the switch role tool, and you may choose to do this and give yourself a bit of peace of mind, but equally, if you've seen what we've seen in that first page, we can be confident that they are able to see that. But you can see where these hyperlinks here are available. When we come down to that time submission, you can see that it is unclickable, so they can't access that, and then it won't become available until this time, so they know when to come back to expect the exam to, or the time submission in lieu of an exam, to be available to them.